Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are officially back in the Champions League. It's been long, man. Like the last time we watched our team in the Champions League was back in 2017, 6 years ago. But we are finally back. The draw will be conducted on Thursday, but we know about 92% of the opponents that we could face. So we'll be taking a look at that from Port 1, Port 2, Port 3, and Port 4. We are in Port 2, so we can't face teams in Port 2, but we'll take a look at those teams that we can face as well. There's still 3 games to go tonight, but we'll talk about them as well and those teams that you could face from those particular fixtures. Let me know in the comment section. Do you want a tough draw? Do you want the likes of Bayern Munich, or do you want an easy draw? And let me know. Choose one team from Port 1, one team from Port 3, and one team from Port 4. And let me know which teams you want in our group. So let's get started with Port 1. So, actually, before that, the last time we were in the Champions League, we had Bayern Munich, Basel, and Ludogorets. So, one tough team in PSG, and then two slightly easier teams in Ludogorets and Basel. Or Basel, will we get those 2 easier games and one tough opponent, or will we get 2 up to 3 difficult opponents? So, let's take a look at Port 1. So, this is Port 1, and also scrolling down the bottom later on, we will this obviously we can't face Manchester City, they're from England, but the rest of the teams we can definitely face. So Sevilla, we can definitely get a fixture against Sevilla. I remember playing them back in, I think, 2008 or something around there. We could also face Barcelona. Now, we've never really faced Barcelona in the group stage. We usually face them a lot in the last 16 and quarterfinal over the last like 12 years. That is always a good fixture for us, Barcelona against Arsenal, but they usually beat us most of the times. Napoli, I remember last year, a lot of people are talking about wanting to see Arsenal against Dortmund, Arsenal against Napoli, Napoli against Dortmund, because also the teams that were doing great. And Napoli eventually won their league title. Arsenal and Dortmund didn't, but those are the teams that were playing really good football at that time. So many people are like, yeah, we'd like to see Arsenal and Napoli. So that could happen. You could actually face the likes of Osman and Kvaratskhelia this season. Next up is Bayern Munich, the team that many people are expecting us to face. You know, it is always Bayern Munich for us. That's the last team we played in the Champions League, actually, and they absolutely trashed us. 5-1 at the Emirates, 5-1 at the Allianz Arena. They beat us 10-2 on aggregate back in 2017. That was our last fixture. That was our last ever game in the Champions League. We thought we'd be back after like 1 or 2 years. We never actually went back until now. So Bayern Munich with Harry Kane, could we end up facing Harry Kane literally a couple of months after he left England? PSG is the other team that is in Port 1. As I said, they were in our group the last time we in the Champions League. We drew both games then, I think 1-1 and 2-2. So but it's a much changed PSG team from then. It was like the likes of Cavani and the likes of Lucas Moura. It is changed now. The next team in Port 1 is Benfica, a team that did pretty well in Portugal last year, won the title there, and also finally Feyenoord, the team that Jurriën Timber's brother plays for. So that could have been a great fixture, like if we faced Feyenoord and end up seeing Jurriën Timber against his brother, but obviously Timber is injured. So looking at that Port 1, there's a couple of, not even a couple, like all of those teams are very good. But I'm sure for the people who want tougher fixtures, people would want to see, like, let us face Bayern Munich, let us face PSG. But some of you be like, nah, I don't really want to face Barcelona or Bayern Munich or PSG. Give us the easier teams. I don't think Benfica and Feyenoord are easy at all. I obviously been following Champions League recently a lot. Not recently, I've always been following the Champions League, and Benfica have been doing well the last couple of seasons. I mean, they usually do get past the group stage, and last season I think they finished top of a group that had PSG, so they are pretty good, and Feyenoord did well. But I'm sure for the people who want like the easier fixtures, not the tougher fixtures, people will be like, yeah, I want Benfica and Feyenoord, but I'm guaranteeing you they're definitely tougher fixtures. Personally, from that, I'd potentially want to avoid Bayern Munich because of the scar that they inflicted on us 6 years ago. I'd like to avoid them. Against Napoli would be a very good fixture. Like going to Italy, that Maradona Stadium, it would be crazy. Obviously, you can't face Man City. Sevilla as well, Europa League champions. That would be a decent fixture. But let me know in the comments, which team would you want from Port 1? Sevilla, Barcelona from Spain, Napoli, Bayern Munich, PSG, Benfica, or Feyenoord. Like all of those teams are pretty much champions of their country in Iran. Sevilla is the Europa League champions. So very good teams. Port 2, the teams that we can't face. We are in Port 2. We actually kind of like you in Port 2. I think if AC Milan won the league or something, if AC Milan I've forgotten the actual way, but I think if it was AC Milan winning the league or something like that, or Inter Milan winning the Champions League, we'd have found ourselves in pot three or something like that. I don't remember that exactly, but yeah, we were very close to being in pot three, which could have meant us being like in the same group with Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Like that would have been crazy. But pot two, this is how pot two looks. The teams that we can't face: Real Madrid definitely will not be in our group. They're in the same pot with us. Man United, they're in the same pot with us, so they can't face us, and also they're from England anyway. They wouldn't have been facing us whether they were in pot 1 or 3. Inter Milan, last season they reached the Champions League final, so definitely a team to take seriously. Dortmund, yes, they've sold a lot of players like the likes of Bellingham, but they're still a very good team. Atletico Madrid, just watched them recently. They thumped Rayo Vallecano by 7 goals. They do have good bench players coming from the bench, like likes of Morata, and players who can score goals. Yes, he can still score goals. I know Morata is like a meme, but yes, he comes from the bench and scores goals. Well, also Leipzig, despite missing and selling a lot of players like Nkunku and all those guys, they're still very good. They're like Brighton. They sell players, but they're still very good. FC Porto are also in pot 2, and finally Arsenal in pot 2. So those we can't face all of those teams. Real Madrid, luckily, I mean, yes, I don't think we've played Real Madrid like since, was it 2006 or something? It's been long since we played Real Madrid. Basically, as the time we started understanding football genuinely, we've never played Real Madrid. Like back in 2006, yes, I watched that final against Barcelona. We had just eliminated Juventus and Real Madrid and all those teams. But then back then, it's just like, yeah, I just enjoying football. But right now, we've never really faced Real Madrid, so that would have been a great time. But who knows? Maybe in the knockouts. But group stage, we are not going to be facing Real Madrid, Man United, Inter Milan, Dortmund, Atletico Madrid, Leipzig, FC Porto. Those teams, you're not going to be facing any of them. So far, pot 1. Man City, Sevilla, Barcelona, Napoli, Bayern Munich, PSG, Benfica, Feyenoord. Obviously, can't face Man City. Let me know which team you want to Arsenal to face from pot 1. And then let's go to pot 3. Remember pot 3, in case I saw Arsenal posting something talking about reminder of how Champions League works. I mean, we haven't forgotten, but in case there's some people who don't know how it works because we've been out of that for so long, we can't face any team from pot 2, the same pot that we are in. So pot 3, it should have 8 teams, but so far there is 6 teams that will tell you the teams that could be there as well. So scrolling down the bottom, there is Shakhtar Donetsk, Red Bull Salzburg, AC Milan, Braga, Lazio, and Red Star Belgrade. So those are the 6 teams confirmed to be in pot 3 so far. Young Boys have qualified, so they could be in pot 3, but they have to wait for the qualifications later on today. But they could also be in pot 4. But for now, let's just include Young Boys in pot 3 because they'll drop anyway. Drop pot 3 or pot 4. They'll be in one of those. So absolutely no problem. Why did I'm all over the place with these Young Boys? So yeah, the Young Boys will be either in pot 3 or pot 4. So we might end up facing them either way, whether they're in pot 3 or pot 4. The other games that are being played tonight, Antwerp against Athens, so a Belgian team against a Greek team. There's also Copenhagen, who are currently leading against this team, the first team. Like, I'm not going to try pronouncing that name, like Czechoslovakia or something. I think they're from Poland. They will be facing Copenhagen, and also Rangers against PSV. So that is a big one. So we have to wait for all these 3 fixtures tonight to 12 pot 3 and pot 4 confirmed. But so far, the 6 teams that we have there: Shakhtar Donetsk, Red Bull Salzburg, AC Milan, Braga, Lazio, and Red Star Belgrade. Let me know which one you'd like to face from that. And also Young Boys. You can include Young Boys in that. Which team would you like to face from that? So obviously the tougher teams there, Lazio going away to their place in Rome is very, very tough. They share the same stadium with Roma. Very tough place to go. AC Milan obviously reached the semi-final last year, and the previous season they won the Serie A, so they're a very good team. Shakhtar Donetsk, I don't know if I think they still don't play their home games back in Ukraine. I think they play their home games in Poland. I don't know if anything has changed so far. Salzburg as well. Always a good team to face, but I think they faced Chelsea last year. That is a team I'd like to face for sure. Braga, Portuguese team, and also Red Star Belgrade. In pot 4, we have Real Sociedad, Galatasaray, Celtic, Newcastle United, Union Berlin, and Lens. So Real Sociedad, very good team. Like I think many people would like to avoid Real Sociedad from Port for a very good team there. They beat Man United at Old Trafford last year, and also for the teams, the non-English teams, I think many people would like to avoid Newcastle. For us, Galatasaray, Celtic, Union Berlin, Lons, and obviously the teams that will be qualified tonight, the likes of Copenhagen, Rangers, PSV, Royal Antwerp as well. So those are the teams in Pot 4. Two more teams to be added to that. But so far, the teams that we have, I'll remember to add Young Boys. Let me know which team you'd want from Pot 1. Those teams calling down the bottom, the bigger boys. Which team you'd want from Pot 3? Shakhtar Donetsk, Red Bull Salzburg, AC Milan, Braga, Lazio, and Star Belgrade. And which team you'd want from Pot 4? Real Sociedad, Galatasaray, Celtic. We can't face Newcastle United, obviously. Union Berlin and Lons. Young boys have also qualified, so let me know if you'd also like to have the young boys in the same group as you. So, or as us, not you, as us, no, as us. Like I keep on saying, I'm an Arsenal fan as well. So if you want young boys to be in the same group as us, Arsenal. So yeah, very good teams here. We could end up being in the same group with Bayern Munich, and then AC Milan, and then Real Sociedad. Like that would have been like a nightmare group to have. Or you end up facing like Barcelona, and then you also end up getting AC Milan, and then you land in the same group as, let's say, Celtic. Like it's not as tough as the first one I just mentioned, but you could also have a slightly favorable group. You could end up in the same group as Feyenoord, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Union Berlin. Like that wouldn't be bad at all. Like that would be a favorable group. So which one would you prefer? A tougher group, a tougher group with like one strong team, like in a Bayern Munich, and then maybe a Lazio, and then maybe a slightly weaker team. I don't call it a weaker team because even Lons did very well in their league last season. But let's include the teams that haven't qualified yet. Let's say Copenhagen. Or would you want a slightly medium group where there's let's say like a Napoli from Port 1, and then maybe an AC Milan cannot be in that group. Napoli, maybe a Red Bull Salzburg, and then finally maybe Galatasaray or something. Or would you want a definitely favorable group, like 100%, like you get Feyenoord, and then you get Red Star Belgrade, and then you get like AEK Athens or something. So let me know which group which teams you'd like to face. I cannot wait for the Champions League draw, man. We've not basically since starting doing YouTube and content, all this, we've never been in the Champions League. We are so used to being in the Europa League. This is the first time we're in the Champions League for all those years. We will be live with that reaction on Thursday. Make sure to join me for that, and we'll be finding out live which teams we will be facing. I cannot wait. Thank you for watching. I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.